A bright and attractive great room that changes the feel of the entire home. Welcome to New Spaces. I'm Jim Parks. As families grow, oftentimes their homes must grow with them. On this episode, a small kitchen that can no longer serve as both a cooking and an eating area gains 670 square feet to become one large, wide-open space. We'll see the completed project a little bit later on in the show. We'll also meet the architect and take a look at construction in progress. But first, here's a look at the home before work begins. This two-story colonial was built in the mid-60s, and although the current owners, Jim and Maureen, have remodeled the kitchen once before, they feel it's time for another change.
We need a bigger area, and in addition to that, the eating area now is on the interior part of the kitchen, and we really wanted to move that table out to a room, where it would be more open and there would be a lot more light.
The eating area is tucked away on the west side of the room where there isn't enough space to seat more than 4 people. Another problem is that the only view from that vantage point is the other rooms in the house. There is one window in the kitchen, but it's located on the opposite side of the room. Jim and Maureen also plan to update the countertops and some of the appliances, but most of the cabinetry will stay.
The current cabinets are about 7 years old, and so we're reusing many of them in the new kitchen. We're adding some where we're changing the design a little bit. But for the most part, we like the cabinets and we wanted to reuse them.
Although the predominantly oak appearance will remain, what will change dramatically is the home's flow. The adjacent dining room is very enclosed, as is the family room. Both of these spaces will be attached to the new great room, which will open the rooms up to the rest of the house.
We put in a basketball court in the last 4 years, and with that, a lot of traffic's been inherited from a lot of friends coming over, and we have a lot more people in the kitchen time and time again.
The solution will come from pushing the kitchen's east wall back several feet into the yard, butting the addition up against the basketball court. Inside, this will provide space to reconfigure the kitchen while making it an integral part of the new room.
I think right now the house is a little chopped up with the way it is, and by expanding it, you'll be able to flow through the whole entire house and kind of be in a circular design when it's all finished, and the flow of the house will be a lot nicer.
Traffic flow will improve because entry from the backyard will become a lot simpler.
You can't get into the kitchen from the backyard, which is a little bit of a problem. The kids come in through the family room and then they walk into the kitchen. So actually the new room, what we hope that will do, since you'll be able to walk right out onto the deck from the eating area, then the kids will just be able to walk in and out.
To achieve all of this, Jim and Maureen have spent some time finding the right architect.
We chose Bob Flubacker. He's done a lot of redesigns or architectural work in the area that we're in, and we've been very pleased with what we've seen. So we felt it was a safe bet in choosing him for the type of work we wanted to do.
We were able to meet with Bob and discuss his ideas for Jim and Maureen's home. Well, Bob, the family came to you, and it sounds like they were growing, not in number, but in size. The children were growing, and they needed more space, but there were some restrictions. Tell us a little bit about this project.
Well, one of the restrictions was a sport court, kind of an small athletic field they had in the backyard that we had to squeeze our addition between the existing house and that sport court. Almost dictated the size and location of the space, as well as the existing kitchen cabinets, which we tried to reuse as much as possible.
So you were allowed to bump out to the back, but only so far, right?
Correct.
Now we'll get a better idea if we look at the before. Orient us a little bit with this plan. The front of the building is in this direction, right?
Correct. This is the existing rear of the house with a family room, powder room, kitchen, and dining room across the back. The existing kitchen was made up of, obviously, the cabinetry and a small eating area, which the family had outgrown. And the family room also had become too small for the family to enjoy time together. The line up here on the top of the drawing is that sport court I referred to, which gives us really a limited area that we could add on to the house.
Okay, let's take a look at what you are proposing to do. Well, I see a lot more space extending out the back.
What we did here again is that great room. which opens completely to the kitchen, which we fill the entire kitchen area with cabinets and countertops and appliances. We opened the dining room into the great room also, and then provided a small sitting area to the north side of the great room for access between that room and the old family room, creating a much better traffic flow in the house and a circular party pattern, if you will, for people to walk.
And they did lose a little bit of the wood deck, right?
When we were designing the project and the idea of the sitting room came up, we noticed that that corner of the deck was not being utilized very well. So in essence, we didn't lose very much usable space, and it became a very important part of the design of the addition.
And this looks like it'll invite a lot more sun in.
Yes, it provides a lot of light, both into the kitchen area as well as obviously to the sitting room itself.
Very good. Let's move on to an elevation. This is a view from the sport court, from the yard, and the roof line has changed a bit.
Yes, we added a steeper pitch roof over the great room. And also you can see the dotted line here is the shape of the ceiling within the great room, giving it a little bit more height, giving us the ability to put some transom windows and bring a lot of natural light deep into the room.
Well, Bob, it looks great, and thank you very much for sharing it with us.
You're welcome.
When we come back, we'll see excavation and framing getting underway as Jim and Maureen's plans are turned into reality. Welcome back to New Spaces. When your home is no longer large enough for your family, one option is to expand the size of your house. We're about to watch as a crowded kitchen becomes a spacious great room with an open eating area and a stone fireplace. So let's join the project already in progress. 14 days into construction, a significant amount of the new crawl space onto the addition has been excavated. Rain has slowed the process down a bit, as has soil quality. General contractor Mark Livesey explains.
There's a few problems with the soil. It's unsuitable in most of the areas. We called out a soils consultant and came up with a fix for it. We're going to dig down 2 feet, 4 feet wide, and fill it with 3-inch rock to get a 3,000 pound per square foot soil pressure so we can put the foundation on that.
Another concern is space. With a large basketball court and a portion of the deck remaining, there isn't much room to store backfill. It was these tight confines that were a factor in Jim and Maureen's decision to go with a crawl space rather than a basement below the addition. Other considerations were made as well, such as temporarily relocating the cable, telephone, and electric wires. This keeps them from getting snagged by any machinery or workers. 2.5 weeks later, framing is underway as workers struggle to push up the great room's east wall. As the wall is raised into position, temporary braces are nailed to the cripple studs above the window openings. Not only does this give the crew additional leverage, it allows them to quickly secure the wall in place once it is up. Workers begin nailing the east wall to the neighboring walls, while checking to make sure it is plumb. These temporary braces will be able to come down once the roof has been framed up, which we'll see on our next visit. Another 2.5 weeks have passed, and most of the framing is complete. Outside, it's easy to see how the remodel ties in with the home, but inside, there's still some work to be done before the addition can be opened up into the kitchen. Part of that involves supporting the second floor, where the opening to the kitchen is going to be, with 2 laminated wood beams. Once the first beam is in place, temporary supports are pounded underneath to hold the beam in position until it can be secured to the existing wall of the home. A second laminated beam is lifted up next to the first, and a support post is built to hold the 2 beams in place. Later, they will break through into the kitchen, which will then more than double in size. Over 1 month has passed since the laminated beams were installed, and not only is the drywall up, but the fireplace is in. Well, this project is entering the finish stage, and the first part of that is masonry. And to help explain masonry, we've grabbed general contractor Mark Livesey to explain the type of stone and the type of installation. So, Mark, what have we got?
Well, Jim, we've got a stone that the homeowner selected from a local stone yard called Stony Brook Weather Edge. As you can see here, it's got a red vein running through the middle of it. And it's a real attractive looking stone. It's got kind of a weathered edge to it.
So how is this applied to the wall?
This is applied to the wall. It's set on the concrete that was poured while they did the installation of the masonry fireplace. And it runs up the wall, and it's tied into the masonry fireplace that's there with, as you can see in the wall, little silver masonry ties that sit in between the mortar of the stone.
Now we noticed that the mantel is already attached to the wall.
Right, the mantel is built prior to putting the stone up so that the stone can tuck under the mantel and run all the way up to the ceiling.
Ah, it's going to be a great looking fireplace. Thank you, Mark, for telling us all about it. It's a painstaking job, but these details will pay off once the great room is finished. Nearly 2 months have passed since the masonry workers completed the fireplace. Today, countertops are being installed. With these solid surface countertops, it is important that a specific adhesive be used. Installer Kevin Wyatter explains.
To put the countertops down to the cabinets, you have to use 100% silicone, which will allow the countertops to be able to expand and contract, allow them to move. It can't be seen by the naked eye, but they do expand and contract. They can expand up to a 1/16 of an inch. So they need to have a little cushion so they can move around, but they will not be able to be budged by the person.
A silicone adhesive has also been used to attach this stainless steel sink to the fabricated countertop. Exact measurements must be made for the faucet cutouts. Once the countertop has been marked, a hole is drilled using a bit known as a hole saw. Another countertop is then carried inside, this one with a sink made of the same material as the countertop itself. Once in place, the edges are cleaned with alcohol. To fill the seam, solid surface blocks are temporarily glued to the countertop, and a mixture of color and hardener is applied to the joint. Clamps are then used to form a tight bond. Once the clamps and solid surface blocks are removed, the glue is easily scraped off the countertop, and a belt sander is run over the seam to give it a smooth, uniform appearance. Well, the new great room is nearly complete, and when we return, we'll go for a tour of the finished space with the homeowners, Jim and Maureen. We'll also find out what they think of the new space and whether or not it's what they were hoping for. Welcome back to New Spaces. I'm Jim Parks. We've been following the construction of a great room that was built on the back of a 2-story colonial. Originally, the eating area and the kitchen shared the same space, which really didn't leave a lot of room for more than a few people at a time. The family room provided some relief, but it was located down a small hallway. Here is the kitchen before, and here is the enormous great room it became. By adding 670 square feet and several new windows, the whole space is brighter and more open. The kitchen has become reconfigured, creating a more functional eating area. It's dramatically changed the flow and the feel of the entire home. And joining me now are the home's owners. Here are Maureen and Jim. Well, you had to wait a long time, but you got a lot more space. I hope you're enjoying it.
Oh, it's great. We love it.
It's worked out just the way we had planned.
Well, let's take a look at some of the details. And we can begin at the sink. And this is where you began daydreaming about having more space in your kitchen, right?
Yes, the eating area of the original kitchen was on the inside. So not only was it crowded, it was also dark, and I always thought it would be nicer to have it on the outside. A little more light, a little more room. There always seemed to be plenty of people sitting around at the table, so it'd be nice to have more space.
And kids are probably something that defines a lot of this space, right?
Yes, it did. We have 3 sons, and their friends are around frequently, and we wanted to keep everything simple and functional. And
great. Let's talk a little bit about the countertop. You've got 2 levels there.
Yes, the original kitchen had a breakfast counter like we have here, and the kids were used to eating their breakfast and lunch there, so I knew we would miss that if we didn't add it into the old kitchen. I like it there.
And if we look down below the sink, we can take a look at the cabinetry. The cabinetry is oak, I believe.
Yes, this is the north wall, and it's all oak cabinets, and what we really liked was the kitchen designer was able to blend in some of the old cabinets we had with the new cabinets, and we feel it's a seamless combination. And in the centerpiece here, you see this is the original cabinet, and on the side is the new cabinets. We feel it's been a perfect blend with the cinnamon oak finish.
The naked eye could never tell.
Correct.
Let's jump to the west wall, and we see another piece of cabinetry that was original equipment. That is the glass-fronted cabinet.
Our original idea was to have another cabinet just like that next to it. the kitchen designer thought we needed a drop space for the refrigerator, so he drew in this cabinet combination, and I actually like the way it looks better. It makes it more interesting.
That drop space is a great place for a coffee maker or kids to drop off homework or
That's
whatever, right?
Yes.
Down the wall, we come to a microwave, and below that, an oven.
Yes, and that's also part of the original kitchen, and it blends in nice with the functional areas as far as next to the new refrigerator.
Let's jump now over to the south wall, and we can begin with this cooktop. Now, this is a woman who doesn't like to do a lot of extra cleaning, right?
No, that's correct. And the original cooktop had a lot of interchangeable parts, and so there were a lot of cracks and crevices that collected dirt. And my one requirement was that it be one smooth surface. I like the way it looks, too.
I agree. Down below, we can see the stainless steel front for a second oven.
Well, that oven is a regular and convection oven. And the one oven that we had, it wasn't enough. And that was one thing I always wanted, was a second oven. And so we added that one, and it's worked out well.
If we look up, we see a matching hood, also stainless steel. I hope it does the job.
Hope so, too.
And let's continue to look up, and we can see the recessed lighting, lots and lots of cans up there, and then there is the ceiling fan.
Yes, there's the ceiling fan, and then that is above the island. We have a black speckle top countertop on it, which we think brings in all of the colors, and it's a nice gathering space when people first walk into the kitchen.
And a second sink, a food preparation sink,
That's right.
and lots of storage underneath as well, all the way around. Now, let's jump over to the family room. We can begin by looking into the den, what used to be the family room, through the passageway that used to be glass doors to the outside. And we have this wonderful conversation area. Tell us about that.
Yes, this was the architect's best design as far as notching out part of the old deck, and this conversation area really opens up the flow from the new den into the new family room we have, and makes the flow of the downstairs work very well.
And all those windows are a great way to see what's going out on the deck, right?
And they let in lots of light, and it really looks beautiful.
Moving into the family room with the tray ceiling, or the modified tray ceiling.
We like the higher ceiling, and it allows you to have two levels of windows, which is what I really like. When you look outside, you see not just the bottom of the trees, you see the top of the trees and the sky, and it really gives a beautiful view.
Let's look at now your eating area. This is a lot of space.
Yeah.
No cramped quarters here, are there?
Nope, that's what started it all, and I wanted the kitchen table in the middle of a big room, and that's exactly what we've got, and I
Good.
really like
You
it.
should get exactly what you want.
I think so, too.
Let's talk about the floor for a moment. It's oak as well?
Yes, the floor is oak, and we had darker floors before in the old rooms, and we had those matched in with the new flooring. We feel that it's lightened up the entire downstairs, and with the light comes in from the windows, it brightens up. It's a nice cheery house.
Now we can jump over to the dining room. Now there just used to be a window to the outside there. Now it's a passageway into the family room.
Yes, and we added a window on that wall. It matches the ones in the family room, and it kind of brightens up the room and makes it a little more interesting.
I agree. And now we can come to, Jim, what may be your favorite part of this whole thing. That is the fireplace.
Yes, it is. Maureen's point on the addition was to have more of an eating area. Mine is to have a fireplace, because this is our second home, and we always want to have a fireplace, and we feel we picked out some nice stone here, and it's a conversation piece when people walk in, and I think it adds warmth and happiness into the room.
And it sounds like you're getting what you wanted as well.
Yes, I am.
The two of you did a wonderful job. It is a great space, and we thank you very much for allowing us to come in and watch all those changes. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
But that's not all that we have to show you. When we come back, we'll see other examples of terrific home remodels. Welcome back to New Spaces. We just watched as a crowded kitchen and eating area with very little daylight became a huge great room with large new windows and a stone fireplace. Now, take a look at these other dramatic home remodels. The owners of this family room wanted a more open atmosphere and just needed more space. Not only was the kitchen confining, but the homeowners were ready for a more functional cooking area overall. They called architect David Tyson of Charlotte, North Carolina, and what was once dark is now bright and spacious. By enclosing an attached porch and using a 30-foot beam to support the span, it is all one open room. A maple wet bar was installed, which nicely complements the refinished oak floors of the kitchen and the new oak floors in the family room. The French doors and series of large windows on the west wall bring the outdoors in and gives the owners a beautiful view of the yard. Our next remodel comes from Interline Design Group of Tucson, Arizona. The original great room was dark and didn't take advantage of the surrounding views. The owners also wanted a space that better reflected the feel of the rest of the home. Here it is before, and here it is now. Light maple cabinetry brightens the living room, as does recessed lighting and new windows. A curved soffit was built over the bar with textured glass suspended below. The new look also captures the style of the desert terrain where the home is set. The kitchen area has also been updated with maple cabinetry and a floating glass countertop. The modern look brings the outdoors in, accomplishing everything the homeowners had hoped for. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks for watching. I'm Jim Parks, and we'll see you next time for more exciting remodels on New Spaces.